What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate you coming back. Share this out. Do all the good stuff. Doing more Roster Bubble videos as the Giants sign some different guys. We had a little scheduling thing with our guest, Ruben Gomez, for the Giants-Texans preview. It will be Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But the Giants signed somebody new today, someone who is known across the NFL, someone who I've definitely heard of. And we'll get into his profile, but if you guys haven't been to these videos before, I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut. I talk about their background, their competition, ways they could win a spot on the roster, ways they could lose a spot on the roster, and a prediction at the end. Today we're going to talk about former Chargers running back Joshua Kelley. Now, the Giants recently signed him because of the injury to Tyrone Tracy. He's probably not going to play this weekend. But he's also extra insurance, and I don't think he's a scrub. I think he actually could vie for a spot on this roster when you take a look at who's in place. He's 26 years old. He's 5'11", 212 pounds, so one of the heavier backs that the Giants have. He was a fourth-round draft pick out of UCLA by the Chargers in 2020. He also went to UC Davis beforehand. Over the course of his career, he has a total of 1,148 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 320 carries, and a yards per average of about 3.6, which isn't really that great. You hope it would be higher. But last season with the Chargers was where he got the most burn in terms of yards. Now, in terms of attempts, that has to go back to his rookie year, where he got 111 attempts, but he played the most games last year, 17 games, 3 starts, 107 attempts, 405 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3.8 yards per carry, and in the receiving game, 8 receptions, 32 yards, no touchdowns there. He has yet to get a receiving touchdown in his career, and his rookie year, that's where he got the most receptions, 23 receptions, under 48 yards, 6.4 yards per reception. Now, in terms of snap share and all that sort of good stuff, 34% last year in the 17 games, 78 snaps on special teams, 164 snaps on special teams the year prior, along with 270 snaps on offense. 2021, 139 snaps on offense, 14 snaps on specials, 108 snaps on specials his rookie year, and 297 on offense. So it seems like his rookie year and last year are where he got the most burn. Now, pretty interested to see as to why he was not signed. And there's a couple of running backs that are still available. Benjamin is still available. Kareem Hunt is still available. And with the Tracy injury, whether it was going to be super severe or not, I didn't expect the Giants to sign some high-key, they're going to go out and sign a Kareem Hunt. I'm like, okay, they're probably going to sign some scrub or an Benjamin, maybe a Josh Kelley, and the Giants signed Joshua Kelley. So he is a viable backup running back. He was the backup in LA for a number of years behind Austin Eckler, along with some of the other backs they had. Isaiah Spiller is one of the names. I feel like there's another name I'm missing. I don't know if he was there with Melvin Gordon. I think he just got there as Gordon was pretty much walking out the door. But nonetheless, he was a serviceable back. And would definitely love to see what he has. Hopefully he can play on Saturday against the Texans, but he will definitely play against the Jets, again, vying for a roster role. Now, what does his competition look like? Right now it's Turbo Miller and Lorenzo Lingard. Now, Lorenzo Lingard, we did a profile on the other day. I talked about his quickness, but also his straight line speed and a couple other attributes. And we know what Turbo Miller has to offer. He looks to be playing on Saturday, though he was out with a hamstring for about most of the week. And those two guys right now are his roadblocks to the roster. Because Joshua Kelley, right now, if you think about it this way, Lingard probably is the third guy. If you're talking about 1, 2, 3, you want to rank these guys in terms of who's going to be behind Gray, Singletary, and Tyrone Tracy. You have a 1 and 2 with Turbo Miller and Joshua Kelley, because Turbo Miller does have the experience in the preseason. As of right now with the Giants, he knows the system. He's been in since April, and he's stood out in camp. But you have Joshua Kelley, who is a viable name across the NFL. Now, again, he was not signed until August, which is a little bit of a concern, but that brings up more relevancy other than a guy like Lorenzo Lingard, who is an undrafted free agent. So just putting that out there. How could Joshua Kelley win a spot on the roster? Well, health is number one. Number two is special teams usage. I feel, and he's played 364 special team snaps over the past 4 years. So hopefully he gets right in the system, because if you guys don't know, at least over the past few years, I've watched some Chargers football when I can. Their special teams is pretty goddamn awful. Not to say we weren't awful the last few years in special teams, but their special teams is pretty goddamn awful. Now, hopefully, again, Joshua Kelley can adjust to Michael Gobriel's system. I think his best role would probably be protector or a blocker on kick returns. I know he returned a few punts and kicks in college, but that was also 4 years ago, 5 years ago, so I'm not really relying on that. So I think his best asset in terms of usage, or I should say attribute, role, whatever, is probably protecting the punter, because you see a lot of running backs do that. You see a lot of fullbacks doing that. Pass protection is another one. I witnessed Turbo Miller in the Lions game blow up a protection and get called for a holding penalty, so that's not great. Lingard, I don't know what his pass protection is going to look like come Saturday. I don't know what he did in pass protection in college, but if Joshua Kelley can boast his pass protection to whatever it was in Los Angeles, or maybe even better, that's another leg up he has over Turbo Miller. Because, again, Turbo Miller struggled a little bit in pass protection to a guy like Joshua Kelley. We don't know yet, and if he does, with all the experience under his belt, he could definitely have a leg up in that competition. Big plays in the preseason and receiving ability expansion. I'd like to see him as a receiver. I feel like if he plays with the second team or the third team, depending on how you slice it, I mean, Drew Lock has definitely had his fair share of swing passes to the running backs, but I know Tommy DeVito definitely loves those swing passes. I think Joshua Kelley could be an asset in that line of work, and I would like to see what he has as a receiver. Not that he's this great receiver, but maybe line him up against some second and third stringers, maybe he can do some damage. But big plays in the preseason would definitely help. Hopefully, here's the thing, right? His yards per average career-wise isn't great. Now, specifically as a running back, I don't know if he's speed. I think he's a little bit more power than speed. And I think the Giants do need somewhat of a power back, because Eric Gray, he's probably the best you got in terms of power back. And that's not even saying too much towards him as an endorsement. But if he shows, hey, listen, it's 3rd and 2, a stack box, or this, that, and the third, and you need a first down, and Joshua Kelley gets some of those, I think that's a big endorsement, a big push for him to make the roster. Now, how can he lose? Health, poor special teams play. There's definitely holding penalties that could possibly happen, illegal block in the back, whatever may happen on special teams. If he doesn't adjust properly, and maybe was one of the issues on special teams in LA, then you could see, okay, this is why he was not brought onto another team. This is why the Chargers didn't re-sign him, etc., etc. Receiving game lacks. Again, I would love to see him as a receiver in terms of the passing game. Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock swinging out those passes to the right or left side when either a play breaks down or this, that, and the third. I feel like Joshua Kelley could be a viable option, but if he isn't doing his thing and he's not targeted, then some of the stuff is out of his control, but also some stuff is in his control when it comes to getting reps, not fumbling. That would be a thing that shifts him towards the roster, not away from the roster, drops, that sort of stuff. But if that does happen, then unfortunately he will probably lessen his chances of making the roster. And pass protection too. I don't know yet, outside of maybe Tracy and a little bit of Devin Singletary, who's going to be the guy to be the main pass protector on third down. Maybe Joshua Kelley emerges as that. And also, just to throw in a stat, because we were talking about it, he's had 4 fumbles in his career. 1 fumble last year, 2 fumbles in his rookie year, 1 fumble in 21. So he hasn't been terrible with the football. but he's also had limited snaps, so, chalk it up as you wish. And also, again, as we mentioned, pass protection lacks. I'm going to say right now that he doesn't make the roster, but this is one of those decisions where I say, okay, he probably needs some time before I make my next judgment. And I think Turbo should watch out a little bit. Now, I don't know how these next 2 preseason games are going to go. Turbo Miller could be great, and he could outdo Joshua Kelley. It could be vice versa. But I think Joshua Kelley could honestly make a good run at the running back 4 spot, ousting a guy like Turbo Miller. And then again, too, people forget this all the time. Turbo Miller is not a lock to make the roster, even if Joshua Kelley was not here. Because guess what? They could go out and add a running back that they see through the waiver wire and say, hey, we like that guy better than Turbo. We'll just stash Turbo on the practice squad. But like, comment, subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate you coming back. If there are any Chargers fans out there, please let me know what you think of Joshua Kelley. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.